I saw my sister's message, a single emoji, a wide-eyed, panicked face, and my blood ran cold. Could this be happening again? The rain was a relentless drumbeat against my apartment window, mirroring the frantic rhythm of my heart. 2025. Flying cars still relegated to science fiction, but online deceit more sophisticated than ever. I scrolled back through the group chat. Family ties, mom, dad, Chloe, my younger sister. Nothing seemed amiss, just the usual mundane updates. Mom bragging about her hydroponic tomatoes. Dad forwarding some obscure article about the upcoming election. Chloe? Silence, until that emoji. Chloe, what's wrong? I typed. My fingers trembling. The 3 dots appeared, then vanished. Then another emoji, a zipped mouth. I tried calling, straight to voicemail. That was never a good sign. Chloe and we were close, despite the 5-year age gap. We shared everything, or at least I thought we did. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. Leave it alone. The message was cold, brutal. I stared at the screen, my breath catching in my throat. Who was this? What did they want? I knew deep down that ignoring it wasn't an option. Chloe was in trouble. I could feel it. But how deep was this rabbit hole? And was I prepared to jump in after her? Days turned into a blur of unanswered calls, cryptic messages, and a growing sense of dread. I went to her apartment, a small, vibrant space filled with art supplies and half-finished canvases. It felt empty. Her AI assistant, Pip, chirped a generic greeting, oblivious to the tension. Pip, when was the last time Chloe spoke to you? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Chloe last interacted with me at 8:14 p.m. on Tuesday, Pip replied, its voice annoyingly cheerful. She requested a playlist of upbeat pop music. Tuesday, that was the day she sent the panicked emoji. Had something happened after that? I started digging. I checked her social media, her bank accounts, everything I could think of. I found nothing unusual, just the typical digital footprint of a 23-year-old artist, except for one thing, a deleted message. Chloe had been using a new messaging app, Echo, claiming it was more secure than anything else. I managed to recover a fragment of a conversation. It was with an unknown user, Shadowhawk. I can't do this anymore, Chloe had written. They're going too far. You know what's at stake, Shadowhawk replied. Don't betray me. Betray? What was Chloe involved in? And who was Shadowhawk? I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. This wasn't just a simple case of a missing person. This was something bigger, something darker. I had to find Chloe, and I had to find Shadowhawk. But I couldn't do it alone. I confided in my best friend Liam. Liam was a cybersecurity expert, the kind of guy who could crack any code and disappear into the digital world without a trace. Show me everything, he said, his eyes narrowing. I'll see what I can find. Liam worked tirelessly, sifting through Chloe's data, tracing IP addresses, and hacking into encrypted servers. He was a digital bloodhound, relentless in his pursuit of the truth. Days later, he called me, his voice grave. I found something, Laura. Something you're not going to like. He'd traced Shadowhawk's IP address. It led to a server farm located just outside the city. A server farm owned by my father's company. My father? What could he possibly have to do with this? I couldn't believe it. He was a respected businessman, a pillar of the community. But as I stared at Liam's findings, a chilling realization began to dawn. I didn't really know my father at all. I confronted him that evening, the evidence laid out before him like a damning indictment. He initially denied everything, his face flushed with anger. But as I pressed him, as I showed him the deleted messages, the IP address, the undeniable proof, his facade crumbled. He confessed. He admitted that he had been involved in a scheme, a shady financial deal that could have ruined the company. Chloe had stumbled upon the truth and threatened to expose him. Shadowhawk was his alias. He never wanted to hurt Chloe. He just wanted to protect his reputation, his company. I was trying to protect you, Laura, he pleaded, his voice cracking. I didn't want you to get dragged into this mess. Protect me? By silencing my sister? By putting her life in danger? I was furious, betrayed, disgusted. "Where is she, Dad?" I demanded, my voice trembling with rage. "Tell me where Chloe is." He hesitated, his eyes darting around the room. She's safe. I made sure of it. Safe? What did that even mean? I didn't trust him, not anymore. Liam helped me track Chloe's phone. It pinged near a remote cabin in the mountains, a place my father owned. My heart pounded in my chest. Was she there? Was she okay? I drove through the night, the rain a constant companion. The cabin was isolated, shrouded in darkness. I approached cautiously, my hand hovering over the doorbell. I took a deep breath and rang the bell. The door creaked open, revealing Chloe. She looked pale and shaken, but she was alive. "Laura," she cried, rushing into my arms. "I'm so glad you're here." She told me everything. How she'd discovered the truth about my father's scheme. How he'd threatened her. How she'd been forced to hide. She was terrified, convinced that he would never let her go. We decided to go to the police. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, turning my own father in. But I couldn't protect him anymore. He had crossed a line. He had betrayed our family. The investigation was swift and thorough. My father was arrested and charged with fraud and obstruction of justice. The company was placed under investigation, and the truth about his scheme was. It was a painful and difficult time for our family. My mother was devastated, struggling to reconcile the man she thought she knew with the man who had betrayed her trust. Chloe and I were left to pick up the pieces, to rebuild our lives in the wake of his deception. Years later, I sit in my new office. I rebuilt the company, ensuring every decision was made ethically and with full transparency. My father is still in prison, and I visit him regularly. I don't condone his actions, but he's still my father. Chloe has found success as an artist, her work exploring themes of truth and betrayal. She's stronger now, more resilient. We both are. The hardest part? Knowing my own father was capable of hurting us, that someone I trusted implicitly was living a lie. What would you do? Could you forgive someone who betrayed you like that? I chose to forgive, not for him, but for myself. To let go of the anger and resentment, to move forward with my life. The scars may never fully heal, but they serve as a reminder of the importance of truth, trust, and family. Remember this, because the echoes of betrayal can linger long after the storm has passed. Write what you choose. Like and subscribe for more true stories. The neon city lights of 2025 painted streaks of vibrant color across the rain-slicked streets as I sat in a cafe with free Wi-Fi and glass walls. It was a trendy spot, buzzing with the murmur of conversations and the clatter of digital nomads tapping away at their holographic keyboards. I was waiting for Ben, my brother-in-law. My sister, Emily, had been sending out cryptic messages, hinting at financial problems. Emily and Ben seemed perfect. The happy couple, a nice house in the suburbs, 2 adorable kids, and careers. Ben works in finance, the kind of guy who wears suits and has a perpetually stressed look, and Emily, a social media influencer, built an impressive following sharing tips. The perfect life, or so it appeared. Ben. His hair was disheveled, and his tie was loosened. He slumped into the chair across from me, his eyes filled with a weariness that went beyond simple exhaustion. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice strained. "I don't know what to do." "Emily's messages," I said, cutting to the chase. "What's going on?" He hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "It's complicated." "Try me." He took a deep breath. I made some bad investments." My heart sank. Bad investments? With what? How bad? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Really bad," he said, his voice cracking. "I lost everything. Our savings, the kids' college fund, everything." "Everything? How is that even possible?" "How could you do that?" I asked, my voice rising. "How could you risk everything like that?" I didn't mean to, he pleaded. I thought I could make it back. I was chasing a dream, a big payout that would set us up for life. But instead, he'd destroyed everything. Emily called me later that night, her voice thick with tears. She'd just found out about Ben's losses. She was furious, heartbroken, and terrified. I don't know what we're going to do, she sobbed. We're going to lose everything. I tried to reassure her, but the truth was, I didn't know what to say. Their lives were in ruins. I knew I had to help, but how? Ben's actions had put them in a terrible position. I decided to investigate Ben's deals. I wanted to know exactly how he had lost so much money so quickly. I started digging into his financial records. It was a daunting task, a labyrinth of spreadsheets and investment reports. But I was determined to find the truth. After days of relentless searching, I found something suspicious. A series of transactions that didn't quite add up. Transfers to offshore accounts, hidden investments, and forged documents. Ben wasn't just a bad investor. He was a crook. I confronted him with my findings. He initially denied everything, but when I showed him the evidence, he broke down. He admitted that he'd been involved in a Ponzi scheme, that he'd been using Emily's social media influence to lure in new investors. I didn't mean to hurt her, he cried. I just wanted to make us rich. But he'd only succeeded in destroying their lives. I knew I had to tell Emily. It was going to be devastating, but she deserved to know the truth. I met her at a park near her house, the kids playing happily nearby, oblivious to the turmoil brewing in their parents' lives. I need to show you something, I said, my voice trembling. I showed her the documents, the evidence of Ben's crimes. Her face drained of color as she read through them. No, she whispered, her voice barely audible. This can't be true, but it was. Ben had betrayed her in the worst possible way. She filed for divorce and reported Ben to the authorities. He was arrested and charged with fraud and securities violations. Their perfect life crumbled before their eyes. Emily was left to pick up the pieces, to rebuild her life and raise her children alone. It was a long and difficult road, but she was strong and resilient. She started a new business, using her social media skills to help other entrepreneurs build their brands. She was honest and transparent, earning the trust of her followers. Years later, she's thriving. She's built a successful business. She's a loving and devoted mother, and she's found happiness again. Ben, on the other hand, is serving his time in prison. He lost everything, his family, his freedom, and his reputation. What would you do if you were Emily? Could you ever forgive someone who betrayed you like that? Or would you seek revenge? The choice is yours. It was a hot, humid summer night in 2025. The air conditioning in my apartment was broken, and I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, tossing and turning, the sounds of the city filtering through the open window. I decided to check my messages. My phone buzzed with an anonymous threat on an app. I felt a shiver run down my spine. I hadn't used that app in months, an old game I had stopped playing when the harassment became too intense. I deleted the app, blocked the user, and tried to calm myself down. It was probably just a prank, some bored teenager trying to scare me. But the feeling of unease lingered. I couldn't shake the sense that I was being watched. This time, it was a photo of me walking down the street. It was recent, taken just yesterday. I froze. Someone was stalking me. I went to the police, but they said there wasn't much they could do without more information. They advised me to be careful, to avoid walking alone at night, and to report any suspicious activity. But the messages kept coming, each one more threatening than the last. The stalker knew my schedule, my habits, my friends. They were always one step ahead of me. I was terrified. I felt like I was living in a nightmare. I confided in my friend Sarah. Sarah was a cybersecurity expert. She helped me set up enhanced security on my accounts and monitor my online activity. We need to find out who this person is, she said, before things escalate. Sarah worked tirelessly, tracing the messages, hacking into servers, and searching for any clues. She was a digital warrior determined to protect me. Days later, she called me, her voice grim. "Something you're not going to like." She'd traced the messages to a burner phone, registered to a prepaid account. It was difficult to track, but she managed to narrow it down to a specific location. A location very close to my apartment. The stalker was nearby. Sarah stayed at my apartment that night, keeping watch, her laptop open, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She was my guardian angel, protecting me from the darkness. Around 2 a.m, Sarah alerted me. "Someone's trying to hack into your bank account." I gasped. The stalker was escalating. Sarah managed to block the attempted hack, but it was a close call. We knew we had to act fast. We decided to set a trap. We created a fake social media profile using my name and picture. We posted misleading information, hoping to lure the stalker out of hiding. It worked. Within hours, we received a message from the stalker. They were eager to meet me, too. We arranged a meeting at a deserted park on the outskirts of the city. Sarah and I were waiting, hidden in the shadows, ready to confront my tormentor. The stalker arrived. It was someone I knew, someone I trusted. My ex-boyfriend, Mark. I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. Mark had been so charming, so caring. But all along, he'd been harboring a dark obsession. He confessed everything. He'd been jealous of my success, resentful of my happiness. He wanted to control me, to destroy my life. The police arrived and arrested Mark. He was taken into custody, his reign of terror. I was relieved, but also heartbroken. To be betrayed by someone I once loved was a devastating blow. Years later, I'm still haunted by what happened. I'm more cautious now, more guarded. I've learned that you can never really know someone, that even the people closest to you can be capable of terrible things. What would you do if you were me? How could you ever trust anyone again? What would you do? Write what you'd choose, like and subscribe for more true stories. Remember Sarah, my best friend, the cybersecurity expert. Well, she wasn't just good at protecting me from stalkers. She was also a whiz with finances. After the whole Mark ordeal, I was a mess. Not just emotionally, but financially too. He drained my savings, maxed out my credit cards, and basically left me with nothing. Sarah, bless her heart, stepped in and helped me get back on my feet. She introduced me to this new blockchain app called Phoenix Finances. She explained how it used AI to analyze market trends and automatically invest your money in low-risk, high-yield opportunities. Sounded almost too good to be true, right? I was hesitant, burned by Mark's financial manipulations, but Sarah assured me it was legit. She'd been using it for months and had seen amazing results. I started small, depositing a few $100s. To my surprise, within weeks, my balance had grown. Encouraged, I invested more. Phoenix Finances became my lifeline. But then, one morning, I woke up to a notification. Account frozen due to suspicious activity. My heart leaped into my throat. Suspicious activity? What was going on? I tried to log in, but my account was locked. I contacted Phoenix Finance's customer support, but they were unresponsive. Panic started to set in. Had I been scammed again? Was this some elaborate scheme to steal my money? I called Sarah, my voice trembling. She promised to investigate. She started digging into Phoenix Finances, tracing its origins, analyzing its code. What she found was shocking. Phoenix Finances wasn't what it seemed. It was a sophisticated Ponzi scheme, designed to attract investors with promises of high returns, then disappear with their money. And guess who was behind it? Mark. He'd been running the scheme from prison, using a network of accomplices to launder the money. I was furious. How could he do this to me again? How could he continue to torment me even from behind bars? I vowed to get my money back. I teamed up with Sarah and a group of other victims of the Phoenix Finances scam. We worked together, sharing information, pooling our resources, and trying to track down Mark's accomplices. It was a long and arduous process, but we were determined to bring him to justice. We tracked Elena down to a luxury apartment in Miami. Sarah and I flew down to confront her. We showed her the evidence we had gathered, the documents, the financial records, the undeniable proof of Mark's scheme. Elena broke down and confessed. She told us everything, how Mark had recruited her, how he had promised her a cut of the profits, how she had helped him launder the money. She agreed to cooperate with the authorities. Her testimony led to the arrest of Mark's other accomplices and the seizure of millions of dollars in assets. We were able to recover a portion of our money. It wasn't everything, but it was enough to start over. I learned a valuable lesson from this experience. Trust your instincts, do your research, and never, ever let someone take advantage of you again. Would you have been able to trust again after being scammed twice by the same person? Emily, my sister, remember? The one who had her life turned upside down when Ben, her husband, lost everything? Well, she started dating again. It was awkward at first. She had been with Ben for so long. It felt strange seeing her with someone else, but she deserved to be happy. She met a guy named David. He was a successful architect. The picture-perfect partner, kind, attractive, and genuinely cared about Emily. But my radar was on high alert. I'd seen too much deception, too many false faces. I didn't trust David. I couldn't explain it. It was just a feeling. I told Emily about my concerns, but she brushed them off. She was head over heels for David. She didn't want to hear anything negative about him. I decided to do some digging. I used all the resources at my disposal: social media, public records, even Sarah's cybersecurity skills. I wanted to know everything about David. What I found was disturbing. David had a secret, a big one. He was married. He had a wife and 2 children living in another state. He'd been leading a double life. I was horrified. How could he do this to Emily? How could he lie to her so easily? I confronted David with my findings. He denied everything at first, but when I showed him the evidence, he broke down. He admitted that he was married, that he'd been leading a double life for years. He begged me not to tell Emily. He claimed he was planning to leave his wife, that he was truly in love with Emily. I didn't believe him. I knew I had to tell Emily the truth. I met her at her favorite coffee shop. Her eyes brightened as she saw me. It was hard to tell her. I gave her the information that I uncovered. It broke her. I don't understand why bad things happen to good people.